Hi there, I'm Ali from Dragon Fitness Coaching and Healing, and I'm a naturopathic practitioner. So today I'm going to be talking about organic foods versus inorganic foods, and are they worth it? So most people don't eat organic food. Most of my clients who come to see me don't eat organic food straight off the bat, and these are people that probably are a little bit healthy or are mindful to try and get their health in order. So the average person certainly doesn't eat either any organic food or as much as they should do. And the reason that they don't do it is they say, oh, it's expensive, or no, it doesn't taste any different, or I just can't get it, or it's just they haven't really looked for it, or they just don't understand the benefit of eating organic food. I personally think it's one of the most important things that people can do for their health. But why? Let's have a little deep dive into the chemicals that are used for the fertilizers that are used for inorganic food. And one of the most important things is they can seriously deplete the nutritional content of food. So the food that you're eating that's inorganic, it might have half the vitamin C, for example, than an organic similar carrot, for example. Also, direct contact or exposure to the synthetic chemicals that are put into fertilizers can certainly cause health problems for many, many people. If people were to have direct contact with the chemicals that were in fertilizers, they would have problems straight away. However, because they're in more minute doses when they're in our food, the impact is slower and it's over the long term, which will result into more chronic health conditions. And certainly anybody with any chronic health conditions, for example, urinary, kidney, liver problems, should definitely avoid their exposure to inorganic fertilizers. And the disadvantages of them are often underplayed and ignored, despite the fact that their damage that they cause is far-reaching. And the synthetic fertilizers can cause a vast array of symptoms. So in the US, generally there are 3 hyphenated numbers, for example, 15, 5 and 10 on the front label of fertilizer bags. Now these mean in order of nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium in order of percentage. So nitrogen has 15%, phosphorus has 5%, and nitrogen has 5% and potassium has 10%. But what else is included in those fertilizers? So this can be anything. It's usually industrial waste. So this can be up to like 70%, and this can be clay, sand, sawdust, perlite, rice hulls, calcium carbonate, corn cob grit, limestone, sludge, slag, basically anything that's waste. So if you're in industry, your toxic residues have to be got rid of, and if you get rid of these substances, it's very difficult to get rid of them, but you can easily pass them off into fertilizers. And often chemicals like lead, mercury, arsenic, cadmium, barium, chromium, nickel, beryllium and dioxin are all found in your typical fertilizers. And these toxic chemicals are put where children and pets play. The dust is inhaled by people breathing. It's included in water runoff, and it accumulates in soils and plants, and not to mention in the plants that we eat, and also the plants that animals eat if you eat meat. So these fertilizers release harmful chemicals that are known as suspected carcinogens, toxic to reproductive, developmental, liver and blood health. And in about a 5-year period, £270 million of toxic waste was sent to fertilizer companies and farms, according to reports from 44 different states in the US. And as I said before, regulations are extremely strict if you want to get rid of these toxic waste in landfills, but you can happily give them to your average fertilizer plant next door. And you know what, conventional agriculture does this quite knowingly. It's not kind of by accident at all. On the flip side, if you were using organic fertilizers, if you're a farmer, you face strict regulations for supporting your fertile soil. For example, conventional farmers are not required to delay harvesting after applying fresh manure. Organic farmers must wait 90 to 120 days between the application of raw manure as organic fertilizer and the harvest of any organic crop which may be eaten raw. So this allows the natural fertilizers time to compost and thus prevent the spread of any potentially dangerous bacteria. But why are organic fertilizers under such scrutiny when artificial fertilizers can literally contain toxic waste? So back to the nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium model that we talked about before. These are just 3 of the 72 naturally occurring elements which are essential for plant cell growth. And there are 10 other minerals which are essential for plant cell growth, but even more than that are very important for soil health and plant health. Oxygen, carbon and hydrogen are 3 essential nutrients for plants. Their respective percentages in a whole plant are roughly 45%, 44% and 6%. And compared to the percentages of these nutrients, the percentages of all the other minerals, nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium, have relatively low percentages. However, these elements have been overplayed and overemphasized with the commercial synthetic fertilizers for a variety of reasons. And it should be noted that there is a natural balance for healthy soil and plant growth, which includes microbes and the environment. And when the synthetic and unnatural force-feeding of chemicals occurs, the balance gets out of whack and problems occur. So adding just these 3 elements is as crazy as feeding your children only Cheerios, milk and juice. In fact, these 3 elements added synthetically can dramatically upset how plants can absorb the other necessary mineral elements. And these are only 3 of 13 essential elements. It is not a natural balanced diet for plants. So synthetic fertilizers do more to offset the natural balance than to restore it. Organic fertilizers release nutrients to keep soil fertile in a natural way through a variety of necessary nutrients. Nitrogen, when it's forcibly fed to plants, is known for promoting rapid excessive green growth, much like steroids in a human. Nitrogen is a big player in commercial fertilizers. It rapidly gives the appearance of lush green growth when applied on a lawn. This certainly could drive sales of commercial synthetic fertilizers. However, this application actually causes harm to plants and animals in a number of ways. Commercial synthetic fertilizers boomed following World War II. Ammonium nitrate has been used for munitions and explosives during the war, and an outlet for these producers post-war was found in the fertilizer marketplace, and it's now a major source of nitrogen for synthetic fertilizers. Ammonia, a base, is extremely toxic to humans. It has a sharp penetrating odour, and nitric acid is mixed with ammonia to form a salt called ammonium nitrate, and it can easily have reactions if exposed to a variety of metals, acids, alkalis, solvents, oils or grease. And you'll notice that a bag of fertiliser are often plastic coated and sealed in order to keep contaminants out and gases in. Storage alone will give off ammonia, introduce heat to fertiliser, and there will be further instability. The release of toxic fumes is one of the main hazards associated with the decomposition of ammonium nitrate. And exposure can cause eye and skin irritation and burns. It can cause irritation in the nose, throat and lungs. People can also experience nausea, vomiting, flushing of the face and neck, headache, nervousness, uncontrolled muscle movements, faintness and collapse. Because ammonia and nitrates combine rapidly with water, feeling dehydrated is often common. And nitrate is converted to a very toxic substance, nitrite, within the digestive systems of human infants and also different livestock. So certainly if you're breastfeeding or your child is weaning, you need to make sure that you are eating organic food yourself, and you're feeding organic food to your child when he or she is weaning. If you're pregnant as well, you should avoid non-organic fertilizers and non-organic food, because again, you know, the fetus will absorb all of these chemicals. And as the baby gets older, the hydrochloric acid in the stomach kills off the bacteria, which changes the nitrate to nitrite. But it should be noted that the bacteria which convert the nitrate to the deadly nitrite can still exist in addition in adults to various degrees. Nitrogen is an essential constitution of proteins. In humans, when our proteins break down, the nitrogen waste from the protein turns to ammonia. And ammonia is very toxic, but the liver, along with other body functions, quickly convert the ammonia into a less toxic substance, which is urea. While urea has some toxicity, we excrete it when we go to the bathroom and sweat. Sodium nitrate and potassium nitrate, sometimes called saltpeter, have many similar characteristics and chemical properties. Gunpowder is made by adding sulfur and charcoal to this. Normally, meat turns grey when it's cooked. This, or the nitrite form, is what is often used to keep meats pink, even though the meats may have been cooked during processing. And you'll probably see it as an ingredient on the packages of many foods: hot dogs, bacon, pepperoni, etc. And to a certain degree, it does inhibit bacteria in food, but it's also one of the worst things that you can add to soil. And there are better ways to inhibit bacteria on food as well. Sodium nitrite has been shown to cause cancer as a result of its reactions in the stomach, and it's hard to believe that it's still prolifically put into foods primarily to make them sell better because of the more appeasing colour. Sodium nitrate can really irritate the respiratory tract with a shortness of breath if the dust is inhaled, and can cause all kinds of gastric and stomach pains, dizziness, bloody diarrhea, convulsions, headaches, mental impairments, redness or itching of the skin or eyes, and collapse. There are about 50 billion microbes in a tablespoon of healthy soil and more near the roots of plants. Their primary job is to break down organic matter and feed plants. You could have every element in its proper proportion available in the soil, but without the microbial action, plants would not be able to utilise them. Synthetic chemical fertilisers actually inhibit, kill and alter this natural microbial activity, which is so very important to healthy plants. In healthy soil, there are herds of microbes near the roots of plants which outcompete pathogenic species and form a protective layer on the surface of living plant foods. Microbes are essential in making minerals available to plants, and they also retain large quantities of nutrients in their bodies, which helps to prevent these nutrients from being leached or washed away. Some microbes eat the dead cells of other microbes, thus retaining the nutrients within the soil. Also, as an aside to that, fertilizers act as an antibiotic in our own guts when we eat this type of food as well. So just to finish off on this, non-organic fertilizers can dramatically diminish the nutritional value of foods, and since synthetic fertilizers also diminish the natural disease fighting and pest fighting mechanisms, our foods become laden with other chemicals, pesticides and herbicides. So we end up with foods which are lacking in viable nutrition and also loaded with residues from other chemicals. And this kind of activity is not healthy for humans or animals. And I've said before in other videos that disease in humans and animals is caused by a lack of nutrients and or an excess of chemicals. And by eating inorganic food, we are contributing to both of these things. So I hope this has helped you. I hope this has encouraged you to eat more organic food. And please do like, share or subscribe to my channel. If you have any comments, please comment away below. Or if you have any questions, then please do contact me on my link below. Thanks a lot and see you soon.